In this video, I want to tell you about why I think Ethereum's current burning effect after EIP 1559 is good, but why I don't think that the positive price action will last forever. Welcome back to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. You see it over there. Ooh. Click that bell icon so you're notified when new media comes out. Your support means so much. Thank you. Quickly, I want to reference an article in Crypto Globe where Francisco Memoria talks about Ethereum burn and how the estimates currently suggest that over $5 billion worth of Ether could be burned in a year. Now, let's not get confused. There are a couple different numbers and figures thrown out in this article. One number to be aware of is the USD equivalent of the Ether that's being burned, and then, of course, the actual native token itself, right? The Ethereum, right? Native token, Ether. And so we see billions on the one side and we see millions on the other side. Just want to make that very clear before we even begin. So over $5 billion worth of the second largest cryptocurrency, Ether, could be burned in a year, he says. My concern with this is that, well, we're seeing since the launch of EIP 1559 that at least right now during proof of work, before the beacon chain merge, ETH 2.0 launches, we're seeing that fees being paid for security haven't really decreased all that much. In fact, the profitability for mining Ethereum went up as a direct result of EIP 1559 passing during the London hard fork. So what does this mean for PR pieces like this? Well, in my opinion, it means they're fluff. It says the improvement allows users to tip miners if they want to encourage them to process their transactions faster. Well, what did we see during DeFi Summer 1.0? Well, we saw exactly this. We saw large whale accounts and exchanges being willing to pay the added fees in order to see their transactions pushed through more quickly, especially on decentralized protocols like the Uniswap protocol, totally permissionless and allows large funds and larger groups of individuals to pool their resources and really make large trades happen. When seconds matter, the added 20 or 100 GWE in gas fees don't phase these really big whale accounts. They don't seem to care, paying hundreds or thousands of US dollars equivalent in gas fees every single day in order to earn millions of dollars in profit. It does price out the little guys, you and me, and definitely people who are participating in Ethereum in developing nations. The fees are just too high. Now, as evidence for that, I'm going to bring up TX Street, and as of the time of recording right now, you see to the left that this is the Ethereum network. The current median gas price is 55 GWE. That's much higher than usual. Even just sending Ethereum, the native token, or Ether, the native token of Ethereum, you'd spend $3.57. Now, in some developing nations, that's so cost prohibitive, even Bitcoin looks like a better option. Layer 1 Bitcoin, as you see right here, with the fee being only 40 cents in the US dollar equivalent. The median contract fee for Ethereum right now, as of the time of recording, is over 20 US dollars to be able to execute a contract. Now, that indicates the sending of a token or the execution of a trade or just the approval of a wallet to send a certain token to execute a trade or to commit liquidity to a pair. The bottom line is these fees are so high because traders are interested in getting their transactions processed first. That hasn't gone away. EIP 1559 has not changed that yet. But let's go back to the article to see what they say. The improvement allows users to tip miners if they want to encourage them to process their transactions faster. You could always pay a little bit more to push your transactions through, but this tipping system definitely does help a lot more and feeds into the MEV, or the maximum extractable value system. But burning a portion of the fees that would go to miners was always part of EIP 1559's appeal, especially to ICO bag holders who have been eager to see proof of work mining go away on Ethereum. Well, it hasn't gone away yet. And security, once Ethereum moves to proof of stake, will keep the exact same tokenomics. So the fees that you see right now will simply, instead of being paid to miners, will be paid to stakers. Don't know if that's necessarily an improvement in the user experience of fees, but people who have really big bags of Ethereum will be very happy by that, made very happy by being the ones to receive those fees. It says the supply reduction helps Ethereum's inflation rate drop and could make the cryptocurrency deflationary if the burn rate gets high enough. Now, that's a big if. Ethereum to date still is inflationary. It hasn't become deflationary. It hasn't even broken even as far as inflation goes. If it did, it would be very difficult for miners to decide to secure the network. And Ethereum definitely needs miners today. The move to proof of stake is not happening fast enough, and there's not enough and efforts so far at pooled staking for smaller stakeholders users has resulted in insecurity with the third parties that offer staking for Ethereum on the Beacon chain, the test net for Ethereum 2.0, essentially the test net for Ethereum 2.0. This is problematic. Proof of work has been proven to work on Ethereum, and proof of stake is just not there yet. When it does get introduced, these fees don't go away for users, and EIP 1559 did not decrease user fees either. He goes on to say that if the network had been burning a base fee since it was launched in 2015, up to 4 million ETH would have been destroyed by now. Let's take a look at when the real adoption and utilization of Ethereum started. Clearly, it started in DeFi summer, and the transactions that have been spent, or the fees spent on gas for transactions on Ethereum, already number in the 3.3 million range since last year. So in just under a year, even though they say up to 4 million ETH would have been burned by launch, almost, the better part of 80% of those fees happened in just the last year, only 1/6 of Ethereum's life. I struggle to believe that this is the case. Let's go on to invoke one of my mutuals on Meanhash. And on August 5th, he tweeted, right now, every minute, 5.2 ETH are distributed to miners and 3.68 ETH are burned, about a 40% reduction in supply. He says, I know the math isn't accurate because miner tips are new ETH generation. It's just rough numbers. And again, miner tips, he mentioned there's no burn mechanism associated with them. So it is still partially inflationary. At any rate, all of this video is to say you should not believe the hype. Now, what do I think could potentially rival Ethereum in the coming months? Well, there are several options right now that are basically parallel chains or sister chains. One such chain is going to be the Pulsechain fork of Ethereum that duplicates completely the Ethereum chain state. All tokens, all NFTs, all smart contracts, everything that exists on the Ethereum chain today will exist on the Pulse chain when it launches. Whatever block height they decide that they'll fork everything that exists on Ethereum will also exist on Pulse chain. And they'll be starting with proof of stake as a primitive, as a native element of that chain, in much the same way that Polygon Network and Binance Smart Chain, when they launched, only without a fork of all of the assets that exist on Ethereum. They're more like clones, right? Using a bit of the code base. With a decreased block time of about almost 4 times as fast, the new proposed Pulse chain will allow for 4 times the throughput. And that's just using without any special tricks or anything else. And then with a more deflationary system of gas fees included from day one, Pulse chain looks like it's going to be a very strong contender against Ethereum. Very few miners are talking about this. And I realize that this might strike my audience in a way that seems like it's off-brand, but I assure you it's not. With Ethereum kind of struggling to get its act together, there was going to be an opportunity for a newcomer to try to fill the power void. Ethereum is doing really well with DeFi. The only way to fully grab the reins is not to label oneself an Ethereum killer, but to literally just fork the open source code, make it run. Why do I think Pulse Chain stands a shot at succeeding? Well, it's not because Circle that makes USDC, or Maker that creates the DAI stablecoin, or Tether has expressed any support for it. Not because of that. I don't think stablecoins are the full story there. I think it's more because there needs to be any kind of an anchor project that generates enough user interest in having the low fees, not only the low fee environment, but removing some of the complexity and some of the weird tokenomics that Ethereum has fallen prey to, and so that anchor project experiences maximum upside. Hex fits the bill. You haven't heard me talk much about Hex on this channel. There's really no denying that people who are into Hex are really into Hex, and they are many, right? That's a very, very large group. In terms of unique wallets that hold the token, well, let's look it up on Etherscan right now. Well, here's the Hex token on Etherscan. And as of right now, it has, well, first off, it has many billions, right? Hundreds of billions of tokens at a current price of about 12 cents, right? 12.2 cents roughly. And the number of holders right now, over 200,000 wallets that hold it. There's, of course, the possibility that there are not as many unique holders of the coin, that these are just multiple wallets that are being controlled by more than, or by the same person. 200,000 wallets controlled by just one person? Seems unlikely. Even 10,000 wallets that are controlled by just one person seems very unlikely. It's a very, very difficult thing to do as far as managing that number of wallets, even with a hierarchical deterministic wallet for Ethereum. They're much harder to come by than you think. Yes, MetaMask works as one, but it doesn't sweep all of the different wallets simultaneously the way that, say, a Bitcoin HD wallet does. Much more difficult to round up all the transactions and then combine them into a unified transaction to then send on Ethereum. It just doesn't work that way. It's much more difficult to control. So seeing over 200,000 wallets that are holding this token and a market cap that is relatively high. Again, let's use another tool here. We'll go to nomics.com that shows this particular token in its place within a stacked ranking based on market cap, right? And daily volume. Daily volume is not nearly as high as some of the other highest market cap coins, but the market cap itself is legitimately that number. At 70 billion, there's enough of an interest in this project. I think that the Hex, they call themselves Hexicans, they'll be interested enough in any kind of a low fee environment as an alternative to Ethereum, where their token lives right now, as an anchor project, right? As an anchor tenant in this new territory, that they will develop it, that they will try to bring in other projects that they may have some kind of a stake in or some kind of vested interest in, and they will create something is usable, a usable alternative to Binance Smart Chain, which is largely centralized, and to Polygon, which has been accused of being largely centralized because of the very real risk of the multi-sig wallet that controls it really just being controlled by only a few entities, not as many as they allege. So there's always the possibility that these other chains, that they're so centralized that it's not really permissionless. Something like Pulsechain that claims to operate on delegated proof of stake and have a much larger, more diverse staking pool and staking protocol, it does show much more decentralization within a proof of stake system. Granted, the number of validators being 33 seems kind of arbitrary, seems kind of, whatever. The fact remains that delegated proof of stake allows for anybody to donate their stake to a given validator. The validators themselves, of course, earning the highest stake. So those of us who are into proof of work mining may be interested in throwing our hat in the ring to operate a validator node on a network like this, in as much the same way that we might have been interested in running a masternode for other networks like Horizon or like Firo or other projects similar to it. Flux comes to mind as well. But I'm looking at this new network and thinking, with the fees being kind of a boondoggle, right? To use that word, kind of a joke on Ethereum, EIP 1559 really didn't make things deflationary. And alternative chains like Pulsechain that are basically going to have to do a full rewrite of EIP 1559 anyway in order to launch their tokenomic system and their fee burn system and their gas fee system, they really do stand a shot of outshining Ethereum if there is enough activity on chain and enough popular interest in drawing other projects onto it. And while it almost seems like, it happened slowly and then suddenly, right? Gradually and then suddenly, it seems like Hex came out of nowhere. It's not totally true. Those charts don't really lie. These numbers really do exist. And I'm not here to have any kind of a debate with anybody who's saying like, hey, are you defending, so-and-so, or are you defending this project? No, I'm not defending any projects. I'm just pointing to the facts. Hex does have a market cap of 70 billion today at its current value. And right now it does have over 200,000 active wallets. Whether or not they're controlled, multiple wallets by just one person each, up to 5 or who knows, 10 or several dozen wallets that are controlled by just one person each, that still doesn't really describe everybody who could be using that network. It's still tens of thousands of wallets, even if you use that logic, tens of thousands of unique users that are over in this token, who are fully invested in this token. I think that they're going to be very vocal. I think that they're going to be petitioning Tether and Circle and Maker and various other projects and saying, hey, look, we have low fees over here. Please come support our network. We're already over here and we've built a bridge over to Ethereum. You can very easily take the private keys that already work on Ethereum and your smart contract has been duplicated over here on Pulsechain. The private keys were always encrypted and they were always yours, but now you can just use them over here to have administrative control over your project. It's not a hard sales pitch. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's really not a hard sales pitch for any project that's already launched on Ethereum to just move their private keys and some of their business interests over to Pulsechain when it launches. So am I saying that I'm advocating Pulsechain? I guess I don't want to try to pick a winner here, but I do see it as a real contender. Ethereum is hard to kill. Anybody who says that they're an Ethereum killer historically hasn't worked out well for them. But Pulsechain does seem like it stands a better than average chance of at least succeeding for its anchor project Hex. And if it can succeed with that many vocal users, and if they are diverse enough in their thinking, also be staked in other projects in DeFi, then they might be able to create enough noise to bring some of those projects over. All right, guys, a bit of a free flow rant there towards the end. Not advocating any one thing or another, but you tell me, are you interested in seeing Pulse succeed? Do you want to see it fail? If so, why? I think that alternatives to Ethereum have been sorely lacking. And Polygon, while it's been fairly high performance, and I haven't minded taking mining profits on Polygon, I found the bridging experience to be kind of painful, and I'm a little bit disturbed by how relatively centralized the control of the multisig or the private keys are that control that network. That has me a little bit concerned. When I heard about the news of the Poly network hack this morning, my first thought was, oh, wait, is that Polygon network? The network that holds my mining profits just get hacked? Did my mining profits just disappear? I never asked myself that question when taking payouts natively on Ethereum. And so to have that little bit of doubt today got me thinking about this. Again, this is a conversation. I want you to chime in and let me know what you think down in the comments section. Are you rooting for Pulsechain? Are you even aware of it? Do you want me to do more of a deep dive and talk about it at length? If so, tell me in the comments section. Thank you for being subscribed, hitting the thumbs up on this video, sharing it. We are having our views suppressed on YouTube. It's just a known issue. If you talk about cryptocurrencies and proof of work, and if you try to not get overly pigeonholed, you wind up not being super rewarded by the algorithm. So everything you can do to help is helpful. Thanks for watching the end of the video. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you want to be notified of videos like this in the future, first off, click subscribe, press the bell icon. Additionally, you can sign up for the Mind Your Biz email newsletter. That'll give you exclusive access to certain freebies, notifications for deals within the cryptocurrency mining space, as well as some of our flash sales for merchandise, which you can buy with cryptocurrency. That's right. It's the only cryptocurrency merch that you can buy with cryptocurrency. We practice what we preach. As always, thank you so much for watching. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face, and I will see you in the next one.